This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA, to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, packed show today. Okay, first up, obviously, we got to talk France winning the World Cup. France might be the best national team since the 1998 World Cup. All right, I'll give you thoughts on as to why I think that. We'll talk about the game itself. All right, we'll talk a bit about Belgium and England. I mean, that game pretty much went the way I thought it would, except England just so happened not to get a goal, and Belgium didn't get the third that I expected. All right, second segment, we got the MLB All-Star game coming up on Tuesday, the Home Run Derby today. Also got some thoughts on some MLB teams, so we'll be talking about that. All right, third segment, we're going to get into some NFL news. Franchise tag deadline to get a deal done or whatever. Yeah, to get a deal done today is at 1 o'clock. All right. I'm sure that we'll be figuring out who's signing what deals as I'm recording this show. I know Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers are trying to work out a deal as we speak. All right. So we'll be talking about that. Also, Michael Irvin sides with the Hall of Fame as far as the whole TO Hall of Fame saga, whatever you want to call it. So I'll talk even more about that. And then for the fourth segment, we'll get into Wimbledon. All right, we'll talk some basketball, and we will talk about anything else that is notable going on in the world of sports. All right, Cristiano Ronaldo announced today as a Juventus player, so, I mean, that's big news too. All right, so we'll be talking about that, but nonetheless, that's how today's show is going to go. All right, and, I mean, now with the World Cup being over, we've hit the dead period in sports, meaning there's only one sport going on right now, and that's the MLB. I mean, if the MLB wants to grow their ratings or anything like that for the rest of the season, this is the month to do it. All right, you have no competition whatsoever right now. And honestly, actually, they kind of do, because you got 2 weeks left. All right, 2 weeks left, meaning training camp starts up in the NFL in 2 weeks. All right, you don't want to waste this opportunity. Baseball as it is, I mean, attendance has been down. Season's too long. Your best player of all time is undermarketed. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous. All right. Like I said, these next 2 weeks, baseball needs to get it going. The MLB needs to get it going. All right. I'm going to be watching the Home Run Derby today. We'll be talking about that in the next segment also, along with the All-Star game, which is on Tuesday. So, I mean, like I said, if there was ever an opportunity for baseball or the MLB to grow its ratings a bit or anything like that, get the people paying attention this month or for the rest of this month. Okay? But like I said, I mean, the MLB is kind of like the NHL. It just seems like they have their core fans and they're fine with that. Okay? When in reality, I think that's a bit of a problem, but nonetheless, who knows? All right? But we'll get into all that in the next segment. Like I said, we got France and Croatia to talk about. So obviously, World Cup final was yesterday, and I mean, that game probably went the way it should have. Okay? France, from the round of 16 on, looking like one of the best teams in the tournament. Croatia, I mean, the question with them was, when is the tired legs going to catch up to them? Okay? Tired legs meaning you played an extra time in all three of your knockout stage games up until the final. All right? Went to penalties with Russia. Let's see. Went to extra time with penalties with Denmark. Did they go? No, I think they went to extra time with Russia. Or did they go? I can't remember exactly. But nonetheless, you get the sentiment. All right. Went to extra time with England. Okay. France beat down on Argentina. All right. Beat down on Uruguay. Beat Belgium. Ready to go. Okay. Croatia, as good as they played up until that point to the final, I mean, France just top to bottom was the better team, okay? And they showed that in this game. And, I mean, were there, in that game too, okay, one of the questionable decisions was the VAR decision to give, Antoine Griezmann the penalty. All right, allow him to take it. I think way too much is being made about that, okay? And, I mean, even starting off, we had Mandzukic with the own goal. All right, even then, I mean, you could have said maybe Griezmann dove before the free kick was called. But nonetheless, I mean, either way, foul or not, Croatia's got to do better on that set piece. All right, so Mandzukic gives up the goal, their own goal. All right, then Perisic, who, I mean, we've been talking about Modric a lot for Croatia as far as how much of an important player he's been for that team, but Perisic has been just as important. It's just no one's been paying attention to him. All right, the dude has been causing havoc on all of these outside backs. Okay, he scores in the 28th minute a perfect goal too, nice little rocket from near, like right outside the box, if not right inside. I can't remember exactly where he was from position, but nonetheless, perfect goal from him, 1-1. And then the 38th minute is where it comes. All right, the VAR decision. I mean, if you're watching it, the Croatian player's hand, I think it was Perisic, all right, is away from his body and out. That's a penalty, okay? The only way it's not a penalty is if he's got his hand right next to his body and it's unintentional, but you can't have your hand flailing out. That's a penalty 10 times out of 10, and I don't understand why people don't think it is, okay? Do you have your hand out away from your body, whether it's intentional or not, it's still a handball, okay? You have it attached to the side, then, yeah, that's not a penalty because there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm sure Perisic wasn't trying to handle the ball or anything like that, but there's a point where we're all taught, as soccer players, keep your hands to your side when you're defending, okay? Because you do not want to give up a penalty. It's basics. Perisic didn't keep his hand to the side, had it out. Whether it was intentional or not, doesn't really matter to me, okay? Ball hits his hand, it's a handball. People complaining, oh, VAR is ruining it or whatever. It's the wrong call. No, it was the right call. And VAR isn't what makes the call either. The ref still has to go check it out and decide whether or not he thinks it's a penalty. Okay, the ref went to the monitors, checked it out, and he thought, yes, this is a penalty. There's nothing wrong with VAR. It's just something for other people to complain about, I guess. All right, VAR has honestly been fine, and it kind of stinks that we had to go to a VAR decision in this final because, of course, you know the journalists and all that are going to run with it. Okay? Whether or not it was the right call, it's a story to be talked about. All right? Is it a great story to be talked about? No. Is there really much to talk about? No, because it was the right call. But nonetheless, you understand if VAR is used, it's going to be controversial, whether or not it's the right call. All right? And like I said, people forget the ref is the one who ends up making the decision. It's not a computer making the decision or anything like that. It is the ref, okay? The people who are looking at the VAR monitors in that little booth or whatnot, they'll decide whether or not the ref should go look at it, okay? And I don't think people realize that. I think people have this misconception of what VAR really is, okay? It's not a machine making the call or anything like that. It's the ref coming down. If anything, he's just checking to see whether or not he made a mistake. Felt he made a mistake, called the handball. All right? I had no problem with it whatsoever. So Griezmann buries the penalty. Then it's 2-1 France, and after that, France was just pretty much dominating, all right? You got Pogba scoring in the 59th minute, takes a shot with his right, bounces back to him, takes a shot with his left, goes in. I mean, perfect. Pogba, people have been making a lot of him not having an assist or goal before this game. I'm going to tell you something, okay? Paul Pogba's probably one of the most unfair treated players in the game. Meaning, people don't realize what he brings. It's the stat watchers, okay? Really don't have a true clue about it. But they'll look, oh, he doesn't have an assist or a goal. Yeah, he's not playing well, when in reality, him and Conte were dominating the midfield, controlling it for him. All right? Instead of paying attention to the stat sheet, actually watch the game. So either way, he scored in the 59th minute. And then you got Kylian Mbappe. I mean, got to be the young player of the tournament. Scoring in the 65th minute, made it 4-1. Okay? Mbappe, remember how in 2014 we had James Rodriguez, pretty, not extremely known or anything like that, but nonetheless a guy who burst out onto the scene after that World Cup performance in 2014, all right? People were saying that Mbappe is doing what James did in 2014, but I feel that we already knew who Mbappe was and we knew what kind of player he was, okay? At least those who actively pay attention to the game, All right. Of course, the casuals coming in to watch the World Cup, yeah, they're not going to know who Mbappe is. But, I mean, even in 2014, I feel like some of us, James was just the guy playing on Monaco. Okay? Sure, maybe you knew about him, but he wasn't, put in front of us like Mbappe has been with PSG. Okay? But nonetheless, this is something. It's kind of what the point I'm kind of trying to make here is that James was at Monaco, all right, in 2014. Has a great World Cup. He ends up moving to a bigger club. Mbappe was already at PSG, a big club, all right? Now he can make a move to Madrid, but that's only going to happen because Ronaldo got. I don't think it's because of his World Cup performance. And like I'm trying to say, I think we all just knew how good Mbappe was. But like I said, now the casuals know too, all right? And of course, you got to throw out he's only 19. First teenager to score in a World Cup since Pele. Obviously, Mbappe's in some good company there. All right, but nonetheless, he scores, makes it 4-1. And for some reason, I don't really get it, but Hugo Lloris tends to have a howler once a tournament. Whether it was last Euros, he'll tend to have a bad decision in a Premier League match once a season, all right, or a couple times. And then here in the World Cup final, where I don't know what he was trying to do. Maybe he was just trying to be too fancy, tries to get the ball past Mandzukic, but all Mandzukic has to do is stick his foot out and ends up going into the back of the net. All right. I'm not really sure why Hugo Lloris always tends to have these type of howlers, but nonetheless, maybe that's what's keeping him from being regarded as one of the best keepers in the world. We know the talent he's got, but, the dude just makes boneheaded mistakes from time to time. Okay? And it seems it's a little bit more frequent than guys like Neuer, De Gea, or Courtois. People say, oh, De Gea made a mistake against, Portugal. Okay, in that one match of this World Cup. Yeah, but how often have you ever seen De Gea make a mistake? All right, as far as regularly. Not often. And I'm not saying it's always happening with Hugo Lloris, but nonetheless, you get the point I'm trying to make here. All right. So it goes 4-2 there. The match ends up finishing 4-2. Croatia's unable to get a goal, or a couple more goals, and France are now your World Cup champions. All right, 1998, France won the World Cup. 2006, runners-up. And here in 2018, champions. Okay? That's a pretty decent run over 20 years. All right? And plus, this could be the beginning of a dynasty, considering the fact that all these players are still really young and still have plenty of World Cups ahead of them. All right. So we'll see how it is going forward for France. Nonetheless, we had England and Belgium. That game didn't even really surprise me. All right. Belgium was the better team. I felt England were probably a little bit still mentally shook as far as losing to Croatia in the semis. So, that game went exactly how I thought. I thought it was going to be 3. Well, not exactly. So I thought it'd be a 3-1 game for Belgium, but nonetheless, it was 2-0. Either way, they still won by 2 goals. All right. So now the World Cup is over. But we have the Premier League to look forward to in August. And, of course, we got the summer matches going on, little preseason matches, friendlies going on for the rest of the weeks of July and early August. All right. So, World Cup, we'll see you in 4.5 years. Going to be coming back in Qatar 2022 in November. It's ridiculous how the World Cup's going to be there. But nonetheless, we will be waiting. All right. So we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be heading over to the MLB, talking about some stuff going on over there. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. Spent that first segment talking about the World Cup final between Croatia and France. Touched briefly on England and Belgium. France were just a better team, right? I don't even think Croatia really played poorly. It's just France, they're just better. That's it, okay? Croatia just lost to the better team. I don't really think there's anything for them to hang their heads on. All right? I mean, yeah, Mandzukic had an own goal in the first minute, but nonetheless, I don't really think that own goal would have made a difference because I still think France would have won either way. Okay? So, I mean, like I said, Croatia, not really anything to hold their heads on. I mean, Modric had an amazing tournament. Rakitic had a great tournament. Perisic had a great tournament. Mandzukic played well, and so did Subasic, and along with the rest of those other players. All right? Some of those other players that aren't relatively too known are going to be moving to bigger clubs, so this was a big moment for them. All right? And as for France, I mean, just perfect after the group stage. All right, group stage scared me. Round of 16 on, best team in the world. Okay, so deserving champions there. And as for England, I mean, try again in 4 years, Belgium, and then you could be happy with a third place medal. Okay, so there's that. Now we move on over to the MLB. All right, and I tend to bash on the MLB a lot as far as them marketing their game and not getting it out there too much. But nonetheless, I mean, one constant that's always been there is I'm always going to tune into the home run derby. The MLB has always done well to get the All-Star festivities out there, all right? Because, I mean, the season's extremely long. We got 162 games. You miss half the season. You still watch 81 games, all right? That's a bit ridiculous, okay? Me, I'm not able to catch every game because that's difficult, all right? But nonetheless, I'm always tuning into the home run derby, whether my favorite team is stinking it up during the regular season. It's just something about their All-Star break, their game, and home run derby tends to draw you in. All right. And I think one thing they did well was to switch it over to a bracket style of tournament. Okay. I think since then it's made it even more exciting. It's made it a much must-watch type of spectacle. All right. I mean, you got seeding and everything. Okay. So, I mean, you got Aguilar as the 1 seed going up against Hoskins, Sac State alumni. All right, I might have to be pulling for him. Phillies player right there. Then you got Bregman going against Kyle Schwarber. Okay, Harper going up against Freddie Freeman. And then Muncy versus Javi Baez. All right, let's see. I got to go with Hoskins to win it, okay? Like I said, Sac State alumni. But nonetheless, if I had to go and pick someone else, I don't know. I feel like Bryce Harper would be the pick. I mean, you got to go with the showman here. Okay, and one thing I didn't really realize was that 10 years ago is when Josh Hamilton had that crazy home run derby in New York. Okay, the one where he was just hitting homers for fun. I remember watching that and just going absolutely insane. It was probably one of the greatest home run derbies ever. All right, and the sad thing is, Hamilton didn't even win it that year, I believe. Okay? I think it was he hit all those homers in that one round, and then after that, he got too tired and then ended up losing in the next round. Isn't that ridiculous how 10 years ago, Josh Hamilton had one of the greatest home run derbies of all time and didn't even win it? All right? And that's crazy how we're talking about the home run derby as if it's something like huge or anything like that. But nonetheless, like I said, the fact that it was 10 years ago kind of trips me out. Okay, I thought maybe it was like 4, 5 years ago type of thing. No, that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, let's see, I was 11. That's actually, that's crazy how that was 10 years ago. I remember it so vividly. All right. But then that is actually, let's see, 11 years old. I was what? In middle school? I think. I don't remember. 10 years ago was a long time. All right, but nonetheless, I mean, yeah, it is a bit ridiculous how that was 10 years ago. It's starting to really freak me out a bit. All right. But nonetheless, yeah, if I can't go with Rhys Hoskins. Is it Reese or is it Rhys? It's Rhys. I think it's Reese. Rhys Hoskins. I'm going to go with Bryce Harper. All right. Like I said, home run derbies tend to be built for these big-name players. All right. But nonetheless, we got the MLB All-Star game going on Tuesday. We got Chris Sale starting his third straight year in the All-Star game versus Max Scherzer. I mean, I think we could say, of recent memory, these are the two best pitchers in baseball. All right? Max Scherzer is an absolute animal. You can't hit him. And as for Chris Sale, the dude's a psychomaniac on the mound. All right? It's a bit ridiculous watching Chris Sale. But nonetheless, both deserving to be the starters. And we got the lineups going on, all right? For the National League, you got Javi Baez hitting leadoff, Nolan Arenado hitting second, Paul Goldschmidt hitting third, Freddie Freeman hitting fourth. Look at Matt Kemp. All right, still kind of tripping out about Matt Kemp making the All-Star game. I mean, I felt after his first stint with the Dodgers, maybe his career was pretty much over. Of course, he's going to play a few more years, but nonetheless, not going to be at Matt Kemp level, the Matt Kemp that we knew. All right, Matt Kemp goes to the Braves for a bit, ends up coming back to the Dodgers, and the dude just pretty much revived his career. Now he's back to being Matt Kemp. All right. And one of the more underrated players in baseball, too, I think. Then you got Bryce Harper hitting sixth. Look at this one. This is my favorite one right here. Nick Markakis hitting seventh. Nick Markakis, all right, the Orioles guy, now making an All-Star game for the first time ever, I believe. He's not even doing it with the Orioles, he's with the Braves. It's crazy how, after 14, 13 years of his career, now he's just barely making the All-Star game, having probably one of his best seasons. Crazy. All right, Brandon Crawford, San Francisco Giants player, hitting eighth, and then Wilson Contreras hitting ninth. As for the American League, you got Mookie Betts hitting leadoff, Jose Altuve hitting second, Mike Trout hitting third. This is a disgusting lineup. Yeah, Trout hitting third, JD Martinez hitting fourth, Jose Ramirez hitting fifth, Aaron Judge hitting sixth, Manny Machado hitting seventh, Jose Abreu hitting eighth, and then Salvador Perez hitting ninth. I mean, if this lineup right here doesn't produce at least 10 runs, then it's a failure. I mean, Mookie Betts having arguably a better season than Mike Trout right now. Okay, MVP candidate. Jose Altuve, dude's about my height, nonetheless one of the best players in baseball. Mike Trout is one of the greatest players of all time. JD Martinez is absolutely hitting the cover off the ball every game with the Red Sox. Also, you have three, well, obviously you're going to have MVP candidates, but nonetheless, I mean, like I said, Martinez, Trout, and Betts, all MVP candidates, serious MVP candidates, AL MVP candidates, hitting in the top four. I mean, it's going to be fun watching Max Scherzer go against you guys. Jose Ramirez, all right, obviously a great player for Cleveland. Aaron Judge, I mean, pretty much the face of the Yankees now. Okay, Manny Machado, speaking of Yankees, is he going to end up there? Possibly. All right, I really think he might. Okay, and if he does, I mean, it's going to kind of shift things as far as the Yankees and Red Sox go. I mean, the Yankees are going to get a whole lot better, and Red Sox, they do need bullpen help, so maybe they try and do that to combat it. All right, Jose Abreu, I mean, the dude's hitting eighth. He's a monster. Okay, I'm going with the AL in this game. Obviously, All-Star games are difficult to predict because you never know what's going to go on or whatever, how coaches are going to use players. But nonetheless, I mean, I got to go with the AL here. That lineup is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they'll probably play about 3 innings before they start bringing in players off the bench. All right, so there's that. But nonetheless, we did have some games going on over the weekend. Let's check what we had going on Sunday. Okay. Let me double check it real quick. So we had the Orioles and Rangers finishing up their series. Orioles won that one 6-5. Red Sox taking, I believe, 3 out of 4 against the Blue Jays, won that one 5-2. Indians beating the Yankees and splitting with them over the series 5-2. All right, and I don't really give too much as much respect as I should to the Indians, but nonetheless, they are a team that you can't really overlook. All right, especially considering the fact that this is baseball. I mean, baseball is the most unpredictable sport in the world. I mean, no one expects the Oakland A's to be as good as they are now, like I said, too. All right, so you had the Indians beating the Yankees 5-2, like I said. Nationals beating up on the Mets 6-1. The Mets going to trade DeGrom. I don't understand what the point is of keeping him there. I mean, trade Syndergaard. I don't think you can trade Syndergaard because I believe he's still hurt. But nonetheless, you got to trade DeGrom. I mean, the dude's one of the best pitchers in baseball right now, if not the best. I mean, he's got the lowest ERA right now. He's got a below 2 ERA. Send him to a contender. Okay? Why are you going to keep him rotting on that team? I mean, it's honestly not fair. Okay, to DeGrom. But nonetheless, I mean, we'll see. The Mets probably should have traded a lot of their guys last season, considering the fact that they're just a dumpster fire right now. All right, so like I said, we had the Nationals winning 6-1 there. Marlins beating the Phillies 10-5. Braves beating the Diamondbacks 5-1. Pirates beating the Brewers in 10 innings 7-6. The White Sox beating the Royals 10-1. Twins beating the Rays 11-7. The Tigers beating the Astros 6-3. Cardinals beating the Reds 6-4. Rockies beating the Mariners 4-3. Dodgers beating the Angels 5-3. The A's beating the Giants 6-2. And then you had the Cubs beating the Padres 7-4. Let's check these standings as we head into this All-Star break. All right. Right now, I think in the AL East, you got the Red Sox starting to gain ground on the Yankees right now. All right, they're 4.5 up on the Yankees. Okay, over in the AL Central, nothing's changed there. Indians still dominating that division. Still waiting for the second place team, Twins, to get to 500 at least before we start paying attention at all. Astros are 5 games up on the Mariners, 8 games up on the A's in that AL West. Over in the National League, we got the Phillies up a half game on the Braves, 5.5 up on the Nationals. Cubs have obviously taken over first place in the Central. They're 2.5 up on Milwaukee. All right, Cardinals have fired Mike Matheny. And then over in the NL West, we got the Dodgers up a half game on the Diamondbacks, 2 games up on the Rockies, and then 4 up on the Giants. Okay, let's check those wild card standings, see what we're working with here. Obviously, the Yankees still occupy that number 1 spot. That number 1 spot's going to go to the Yankees or Red Sox, depending on who doesn't win that AL East. And as for the Mariners, starting to lose ground on the A's, all right? They're only 3.5 up on the A's now. At one point, they were 6th. I mean, after a series or 2, now it's 3.5. Those A's are creeping. If I'm the Mariners, I mean, you got to be watching over your back shoulder there. Okay. Then over in the National League, we got the Brewers occupying that number 1 wild card spot. Braves occupying the 2nd. They're a half game up on the Diamondbacks, 2 games up on the Rockies, 4 games up on the Cardinals, 4 games up on the Giants. All right, and also 5 games up on the Nationals, 5.5 up on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Question over in San Francisco. Are they buyers or are they sellers at the deadline? I mean, you're only 4 games back of the wild card spot. But nonetheless, I mean, Giants were truly terrible last season. Okay, I don't think really anyone expected them to be as